What's up guys, this is just going to be a little brief video explaining option select, more specifically showing 3 applications of option select. I'm going to be writing an email on this and be sending it out in a couple days time, link in the description to sign up for the newsletter, as well as a comment in the video comments explaining a bit more about it. But for now I'm just going to explain 3 basic ways you can use option select. The basic premise behind it is it's a way of using lots of large algorithm subsets for a given event and being able to balance them so that you can use the best cases from each set. That's pretty much how it works. I also think there's probably a better name for it than option select, but for now I'm just going to call that because it's, you're selecting options based on what will be better. So the first example, this is one that I think a lot of people are actually using. It's not really called option select, and it doesn't even really need to be called anything. It's just a way of choosing different options based on what outcome you want to get. So for this OLL, depending on what CP you have, you can get either an EPLL, an adjacent PLL, so like GPerm, JPerm, TPerm, etc. Or you get a diag PLL, so like Y, N, E, V, which are generally some of the worst PLLs. There are exceptions, like I think YPerm is faster than some ADG and even the ZPerm. But for this case, because we could get ADG with either algorithm, you could do that to get, in this case, JPerm. Or you could use the other fast algorithm and get LPerm in this case. That's kind of funny. But let's set up like a different CP. So here, since we have no swap CP, doing that OL algorithm gives us ZPerm, which isn't great, but when you run the numbers, getting an EPLL is probably better than getting a diag PLL, so it's still a good idea. Of course, you could do the other alg, in this case you get FPerm, which still isn't particularly great. I'll set up diag. So for diag, you wouldn't want to do that. Here it gives you VPerm. Instead, you would want to use the RFU thing and get a GPerm. And the one thing that's particularly nice about this case, just like a little tidbit, when you have the diag CP, not only do you instinctively know, oh okay, I've got to use the alternate alg, but the alternate alg actually gives you a free role type recognition thing where you just know that the headlights will be on left, so that can help you flow into PL for that reason. I guess I'll show the actual CP. So if you have opposite, same here, you wouldn't want to do the RU thing. You would get headlights on left, free roll, which is, decent. But if you just do the RFU alg, you get a CP skip. So that's just like one little example where you can choose different options based on what PL you get, either trying to force an EPLL or simply avoid a diag. I guess I'll show one last example. So if you have like this CP, so these opposites and then these opposites as well, you would want to do the standard RU thing, even though you have to do a U2 for your roll. That's still better than doing the RFU and then forcing a diag. Obviously YPerm is the best diag you could get, but I'm just saying, if you run the numbers, you're more than likely going to get a better PLL doing the first algorithm I showed there. So that's a whole bunch of examples just for that OLL, and you can apply that to a bunch of different OLLs when there's more than one algorithm that can be clearly done quickly. Another example of option select, again for OLL. Another thing you could do other than just different OLL algs to force better PLLs is actually do different just EO algs to force ZB instead. So for this particular OLL, that's like the fastest OLL alg I know for it. I've timed pretty much every standard alg. That's the only one I can get sub 0.7 really. And it's not by much either. But what you can do instead here is if you just do sexy M prime insert like that, you get a TZBLL, which is arguably a similar enough speed to a lot of PLL cases. The other nice thing about that algorithm in particular is if you do an unsolved cube, you'll notice it only cycles a few pieces, so the corners don't move, this edge doesn't move. So you can basically look ahead into your ZBLL. Like I can see this edge is going to come here, make a block, and then immediately go into my ZB like that. So like for that CP, That would be like one way I could do it, and I would do that for most of the other CPs as well. The only exceptions, I guess, would be I'll actually just set it up. If you have diag, you can do that and look ahead into PLL, but the thing is the diag T ZBLLs aren't particularly good, so what you can do instead is just a through rough, and now you have 2GLL again, except this time it's a L case instead of a T case. And then the other thing I guess I'll mention, if you have this case, like this CP, you can do that and take a T ZBLL again, or you could just do the standard OLL, and although it is a bit slow, you can get a CP skip, and I think EPLL is probably better than T ZBLL. So that's just like another example of like different options you can select for that OLL case. So it can be applied to OLL CP, you know, getting different not EPLL. You could get EPLL instead of ADG, or ADG instead of diag, or EPLL instead of diag. Or you could take ZBLLs instead if you think the OLL algorithm is slow enough, which is... Like for this OLL, Felix is famous for always doing through rough and then taking a T ZBLL. That's pretty much like the first example of that kind of technique. The last way you can apply option select that I've been trying to use myself is for VLS. There are some cases that just suck. Like this one, you have to do either insert, cancel into that, which is really not that great. Or you could do that into through rough, which I don't like either. Or you can do a quick 5 mover like that and then get a UZBLL. So that's like one example of where I would do that. And then take that case. I'll set up another one really quick. That's not how you set it up. Yeah, okay, so this case as well, this is another one. I don't really like the VLSL because you have to rotate and it's a bit long. So instead I'll just do 5 moves and then get a TZBLL, because I just know from like running through each case, I know which slow cases I can do this quick 5 mover into a T, U, or L ZBLL, which is the 3 sets I prefer to get. I don't really like forcing H or pi. I have tested this one as well, and there's no real case where I want to, like instead of do VLS, like let's say I have this case, there isn't really any case where I prefer to do that to get a ZBLL, because all of the cases that go into T, U, or L I actually just like the VLS. But that's like another way you can apply option select, and that's the main way I'm trying to apply it at the moment, since the first 2 ways I've fleshed out most of my options for that. Like I know more or less what I need to do. There's like a few things I could be changing. But for VLS, there's a lot more that I need to explore and optimize. So that's 3 ways you could use option select. Again, it is predicated on knowing at least a handful of big algorithm subsets like VLS, ZBLLs, OLLCP, CLS. It can be applied to that as well. It can be applied to ZBLS as well. But that's all going to be going into the email that I send out in a couple days. So if you sign up to the newsletter, expect a very, very long email explaining a lot of detailed information about option select. If you're not on the newsletter, sign up. Link is in the description. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.